Right now, I want to welcome our friend Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum to the program. How are you, Julie?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. All right. I want to talk about free-range parenting, but before we do that, I was reading your piece earlier today. Alarmism about food creates a new mental condition. Really? Orthorexia?
Yes.
Is this a real thing?
It is a real thing. And frankly, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at my piece, I sort of talk about how orthorexia it comes from the word orthodoxy. And so it's people, and I mentioned in the piece, we all know someone who sort of suffers from this disease. It's people who cannot veer from a particular diet or a particular way of eating or a particular vision of how they need to exercise, and they become so wedded to it that it really interferes with their life. And we're starting to see more and more of that. And actually, I mentioned that the Baltimore Sun was reporting today that more and more doctors are reporting that their patients are showing signs of this. And again, I think with so many diet fads out there, with so many sort of, people online claiming to be sort of health gurus, and then you have people like Dr. Oz who, gets on his show and talks about how, magic pills will help you, lose weight, or eating this particular way, or, he sort of endorses certain things that there's absolutely no evidence that these things work. It does give rise, I think, to people believing that they have to be perfect, absolutely perfect all the time, and adhere to these particular rules. And it kind of gives them this condition where they're not really able to break away from that. Again, health is not the goal; it's perfection, and being true to this sort of orthodoxy of how to eat or how to sort of live your life.
And part of I think one of the things that I feel most badly about for people who suffer from being orthorexic is that the rules, as we've pointed out, Julie, the rules change, right? So, I mean, if you're constantly obsessed with eating perfectly, what happens when a week from now, all of a sudden, hey, these 30-year guidelines we've been telling you about were completely wrong? I mean, right? I mean, we've seen this recently, right? Don't eat red meat. Oh, red meat's okay. Don't eat salt. Salt's okay. It's just, boy, this is amazing.
Well, I actually talked also. Part of what made me want to write this piece was that I was actually reading a political a human interest story about Bush, who was on a campaign stop, and he was offered. Now he's actually lost quite a bit of weight, going sort of doing more of a paleo diet, eating more meat and less carbs. And he's had a lot of success with it. And so the article is sort of focusing on that, and then says, at a campaign stop, and we all know, when you're running for office, you're often given food and treats and things. He said no to the sort of eggs and hash browns. It was at a diner, and he said no to the eggs and hash browns and bread that was put in front of him, but he ate the bacon. And then the reporter interviewed one of the founders and promoters of the paleo movement, and the guy said, well, he shouldn't have eaten that bacon. He should have or he should have instead gone for a grass-fed pork chop, as if that was an option. As if Bush, he's on a campaign stop, this nice lady hands him a plate of food. He said, excuse me, do you have a grass-fed pork chop laying around? I mean, that's what we're talking about with orthorexia. I mean, this paleo guy actually criticizing his decision to eat the bacon. Well, see, it wasn't the perfect decision, so he should have really, I guess, not eaten anything. And so this is what gives rise to these sort of unhealthy attitudes, unhealthy beliefs, and again, this need to adhere to the perfect plan and never veering from it. And I think that's unreasonable. So I think people need to just kind of be aware of this. And look, if you're getting a little obsessive about your diet or obsessive about anything, that's not healthy. I think the best thing to do is do your best every day. Try to eat well and make good decisions, but don't become crazy about it.
All right, which leads us to Gwyneth Paltrow.
Ah, yes.
Because, as you talk about this desire to eat the perfect food. So Gwyneth Paltrow does the SNAP challenge. You write about this in your piece, Hollywood Stars Pretending to be Poor. You look at the picture
But
of what Gwyneth Paltrow actually bought with her money, and Julie, I think she was kind of obsessed with getting the right kind of food as opposed to, all right, how much food can I get for $29 here? And so you say, you quote Michelle Malkin, who says that Gwyneth Paltrow apparently did this, invited to join the poverty voyeurism racket by her good friend Chef Mario Batali, who was last seen eating his way through Spain with Gwyneth Paltrow for a 13-part PBS TV series. I'm not sure there was much left to eat in Spain after that series.
be nice.
I'm just saying, is all I'm saying. I like my food as well.
Yeah, it's a little rich coming from Gwyneth Paltrow, who does this 13-part PBS series where she's eating some of the world's best food from the best chefs, and running around in a sports car convertible with Mario Batali, and again being the guest of honor at these incredible restaurants. And then she does the food stamp challenge. She's into stunts, and this is a stunt. And what the really funny thing is that she failed. Actually, after I wrote that blog post, she couldn't handle it. She basically admitted, I could only do it for 4 days. But what my point of that article was to say that you look at the picture of what Gwyneth Paltrow got for her $29, which also is misleading because a family of 4 gets a lot more than $29. However, she was saying that she's going to eat with this is what she's going to eat for a week on $29. And what I was saying is, look, Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't need many calories. She doesn't eat much. Okay, she doesn't. She's a Hollywood actress. She has probably very low daily caloric allotment, and so to a lot of people that looked at her basket of food, they thought she did pretty well on $29. So she wasn't doing anybody any favors because it really didn't look like she was suffering. She got some fresh vegetables and some tortillas and some really kind of nice stuff. And so my point is I wish these Hollywood, actresses, if they really wanted to help people, if they really wanted to help poor people, they would talk about the sustained problems of unemployment in this country. They would talk about stagnant wages. They would talk about our entire economy still being in the, not recovering.
Mm-hmm.
These are the issues that would matter to people who are living at or under the poverty level, why they can't get jobs, why there have been people that have been out of the workforce for years. Instead, we have Gwyneth Paltrow, going to her market and filling her grocery cart and then giving up after 4 days. And the funniest part is after 4 days, she then went to one of the this hot spot in L.A. To have a meal. So, again, she doesn't understand how poor people live in this country. She doesn't understand what it's like. And also, people on SNAP, they can't give up after 4 days. They've got to live this way. And again, what they want is they don't want her patronizing stunts. What they want is for her to really shine a light on our economic troubles in this country. They want to work. People don't need her sympathy.
Talking with Julie Gunlock. And, Julie, you make a really good point about the things that these celebrities could have highlighted. The fact that food prices, have soared really is an important issue for people who, by the way, aren't just receiving SNAP benefits, but for, I would say, the vast majority of families around the country. When all of a sudden, burgers aren't something that we can do every weekend. Maybe it's a once a month thing we can afford to cook out. When you're not eating steak anymore, and you're downsizing your meals, you're adjusting your grocery purchases every week because your money simply doesn't go as far as it used to be. Look, that's well worth talking about. But as you say, I don't think that even factored into. How would Gwyneth Paltrow be aware of that?
Yeah,
unless somebody told her.
This is all an effort to get more money funneled into the food stamp program, into SNAP, into all of these government programs. And look, that's a debate we can have. But the problem is that these stars really would be doing a lot. They'd be doing a lot more for the poor in this country if they would highlight those areas. I mean, they don't even have to focus on specific jobs and wages and employment and food costs. But let's talk about something that they might want to talk about. Why farmers in Virginia can't sell their own stuff. I mean, there are some local issues that they could focus on. How people could actually make extra money for their families if they were allowed to sell the stuff that they're making in their own homes, and yet there are regulations that ban that. And so, I mean, there are some really great issues out there that should be focused on, and instead we have these Hollywood stars pretending, play acting to be poor, and it doesn't do a darn thing to help the poor in this country.
No, and frankly, not even very good acting, as you say. When 4 days later you You give it up, and then you go eat it. And I love she went to eat at a restaurant called Animal, if we are to believe the gossip magazines. Went to eat at Animal, where you get $36 rabbit legs. Holy cow! That's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. She was probably really hungry. So, after being on that food stamp challenge. So yeah, she made a beeline for a high-end LA restaurant. And again, look, I don't want to begrudge anybody, a good, expensive meal. God bless it. She makes a lot of money. Let her enjoy it. But again,
can you do it without scolding the rest of us, though? I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Go eat where you want, because I'm never going to give you a hard time for going to eat where you want. But yet,
that's right.
They're going to give us a hard time. All right, so let's talk about the free range, not the free range chickens, not the grass fed pork, but the free range kids, Julie, because we've been talking about the case out of Silver Spring, Maryland, the Meta family there in the D.C. suburbs, but there was a YouGov poll out this week showing majorities of Americans say, no, I would never let my kid play alone or without supervision in the neighborhood. No, I would not let my kid walk to school by himself, would never let my child go to the store by herself. Preteens, elementary school age kids. And what's fascinating, Julie, is that most of these parents said, yep, I did these things when I was a kid, but I would never let my child do it now. Yeah,
and what's interesting is that we all did that when the crime rates were higher.
Right.
I mean, child abduction rates were higher. Things were higher. There was more bad things happened. I mean, look, I don't think it was ever, when we were a kid, I don't think it was at some sort of crisis level, but certainly crime rates have consistently gone down. Violence against children has gone down. Abductions have gone down. By every measure, we're living in a safer time. And so we did these things. I mean, I remember riding my bike I lived in a small farming community, and we'd ride our bikes miles away to get penny candy, and then we'd go to the park, and we wouldn't go home for hours. And my mom just sort of trusted that, we would know how to get help if we needed it. And this was before cell phones. So even today, you hear people say, well, at least give them a cell phone to call if they need help. So again, it is a really disappointing poll. I think people really misunderstand free-range parenting. I think they don't understand that, you need to judge you need to judge each kid individually and decide what that child is capable of doing. But I also think we need to push our kids. I think it's important to push kids to make these decisions, to do these brave things. I think it ultimately helps these kids. So, I think we have a lot of work to do to sort of encourage this. I think there's a free-range kid day planned. I think it's this Saturday where you're to take your kid to a park and let them...
I think it's May the 9th. I think we've got a few weeks.
May 9th? Okay, good. Well, I certainly hope to participate in that myself. And I think we have a lot of work to do to explain to people how important it is to set kids free and let them make some decisions.
I agree. And by the way, one of the things that I want, and I think, our audience gets it, but this idea of, free range kids, first of all, it's not dogma. All right. There is no rule book that you have to follow. And otherwise you're drummed out of the free range kids movement. It's about what you as a parent are comfortable with. Right.
Right.
You're the one making your decision. But the mindset is that you don't do your kids any good by coddling them and protecting them too much. That kids are supposed to explore the world. They are supposed to find their boundaries. It's okay for them to go and play with their friends.
I think the other lesson has to be, though, that, we have to respect other people's parenting decisions. This tattletaling, this calling the cops, this mothering of other people's children has got to stop. We've got to stop, calling 911 every time we see a kid walking on a sidewalk on his way home from the park. I mean, this is the criminalization, the turning each other in. It's creepy, and it's got to stop. And we're really, parents should look out for one another and trust each other to make good decisions for their own kids. We don't know that situation. You don't know your neighbor's situation. You don't know, what's going on in a particular family. And if a child is walking home by themselves and they're not crying, they look like they know where they're going, it's really not, go ahead and ask the kid, but there's no reason to immediately get the police involved and again, try to get these parents in trouble. That's a real problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Julie Gunlock, listen, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's always a pleasure.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. We'll talk again soon. Julie Gunlock, you can find her work at the Independent Women's Forum, among other places.